Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. So I'm here with Dr. Akshyas. So grateful to be here with you in Vancouver for our workshop and book launch. Mend the Gap to Be Yourself.
Indeed, it's a pleasure. Pleasure to be on the journey with you, not just for the physical journey, but also on the spiritual journey. We have learned so much from each other. So thank you for being with me too.
Thank you. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to interview you for the Emerging Cloud campaign while we're together, which you graciously made your coming out of the closet video for us. So just would really love you to tell the audience a bit about your own spiritual awakening, if you don't mind, and as a psychiatrist, how that might have kind of impacted your work or your vision for the future in your work.
You asked me quite a few questions. I'll try and make an attempt to answer most of them. Katie, as I was sharing with you, it's been a wonderful journey to be here. Yes, I'm 43 now. And that is just a reminder of the materialistic body age that we are living with. Every day that we get up in the morning, we notice a bit more of gray on the body. A few more wrinkles perhaps, but we also realize that we have a finite life on this planet as we know it, and it is so much important on this journey itself, the time that you've been blessed to be on this planet, to find a true self, a true nature. And during this inquiry period that I've been very blessed, very lucky to be in for the last 3-4 years, I've found myself slowly unfolding to a point where I had a full awakening process. So maybe I can start with there itself. So it was on the beach of Acapulco, Mexico, where I'd gone for a holiday with my family, and I'd been reading a beautiful book. Some of you, as listeners, might have already read of it yourselves, and you would have realized what a deep meaning this book carries with it. Autobiography of a Yogi by Swami Yogananda Paramahansa. It's an old book, but still very new. It allowed you to find the new you in you, which had been waiting to come out. Each and every page, I could make a connection. Being from Indian origin, of course, I found a deep connection straight away. I could find myself going back in time when I would be on the streets of the country, seeing various sadhus and yogis, appearing a bit odd, appearing as if they are not a part of the usual life. All the orange-colored, saffron-colored clothes and ashes on their forehead, and mumbling some mantras in themselves. But there was a lot of, I would use the word disrepute. Something that you can't talk to them. They are a different sort of beings, and you don't associate with them. That's the impression, anyway, you got from talking to mom and dad and friends. So you carry those impressions, but then I moved in my mature life.
So can I just ask you, do you think there's fear around that then still in India? So you were saying there's some kind of some distance between those and everyday society in the same way that there is here?
There is a disconnect. And so if we have to bring East and West together, that might be part of the vision process that we'll be talking later. We need to bring spirituality into mainstream, both in East and West.
Yes.
The East has also forgotten its roots, living in the materialistic life that time has made happen. I'm not saying the West imposed those values. Everything is happening. We don't have any control over it. But that's what happened. And I realized that growing up, being an army officer's son, really pushing yourself to becoming something materialistically is what we learned. But Dad used to read that book. And he would talk about it. It was never a dinner table discussion book. He would say, how are you doing at work? How is school? And, things that we typically talk about. But something had turned prior to me to get to Acapulco. And I was reading that book with a completely open set of eyes. had already started to meditate a bit regularly and started to read our own scriptures. So it came very fast. It came, that knowledge started to flow in me to a point where I felt something very strange happening. My whole body, mind, and intellect, the whole equipment that we've all been blessed with, was changing right in front of my eyes. I'll make an attempt. But an awakening process can be very difficult to share because primarily it is unearthly. It is something that you do not perceive in the usual frame of mind. Here's an attempt. So I was walking on the beach, barefoot, just enjoying the sand, warm, sunny day in the winters in Mexico, with my daughter, and I felt something strange happening, as if Mother Earth was caressing me, was holding me, and that feeling rose from the feet upwards, and I felt as if the whole equipment was part of Mother Nature. And that was surreal, unreal, blissful. It was accompanied by such intense emotions that I just couldn't describe. To anyone, I just kept it in myself. Accompanied with that were quite a few sensual feelings as well, full of energy, as if you were in a chronic, long, orgasmic moment. And the whole universe was a part of me. I could not make the distinction between me, the sand, the trees, and all human beings. Male and females were not the same. We somehow think gender is a difference, but I felt I was effectively copulating with the whole universe. Stars, galaxies, everything. And it didn't stay for a minute or two. It stayed there for hours. Where I felt I just couldn't control it, and I was aghast at my experience in a way, and I didn't know how to share it with my family. So I took my wife aside and I said, I'm going through this and I don't know what to make of it. She just looked into my eyes and held my hand and said, it's okay. We'll talk about it. So that's just to give you a sense. And on those 4 days when we were in Mexico, my cape of golf, and I'm a horrible golf player, just improved to a point where I was hitting the ball where I wanted to. There were a few pars, maybe a couple of birdies as well. For people who don't play golf, that's a good game.
You're in the flow.
I was completely in the flow. Everything felt natural, no stress whatsoever. My diet went ravenous. I just couldn't hold myself back. My energy levels were so high, I couldn't sleep that day. I was sleeping maybe 2 or 3 hours to a point where I thought, hey, this must be what manic patients must feel like. And I felt as if either something had been spiked in my food, or as if I was going through what Swami Yogananda Paramahansa described, a stage of complete enlightenment, if I can be so brave enough to say that. If enlightenment is being a stage of complete happiness, being in bliss, being carefree, not worrying about anything, that was what it was.
It's fascinating that you describe a few things that we've kind of come to recognise in spiritual emergence networks that people need, and that's you got validation from your wife, so you were held and she told you it was okay, and you also had a kind of a framework to understand what was happening to you because you'd read the scriptures. Do you think that was the thing that helped you to ground the experience? And would you... One of the things that I'm really wondering is if it's changed your perception of what your patients are experiencing.
Indeed, if our experience is not grounded in some knowledge, such experiences can be labeled as psychosis or mania. And I've had a few examples since then, literally walking into my clinic, and if I had not put on the lens of spiritual awakening, I would have labeled them as well. I would have thought that they needed treatment. If you want to give me a story, I would, of course, anonymize the story. There was a lady with schizophrenia, labeled as schizophrenia for 40 plus years, was on high doses of an antipsychotic. And I had been for the previous couple of years since I'd known her, just doing continuous same treatment, continue the antipsychotic medication, be there, but not really be there. Try and show some empathy, but I could not. That's what you were taught in school, that show empathy, but maintain that distance. Because if you let go of the boundaries, then your ego is going to get hurt. And I thought ego was useful till then. I'd always felt ego helps us to make a difference between you and me. So how could I not listen to what my mentors, my professors had told me? I said, hey, it's time I made a change. Let me brave enough and really try and understand, why is she coming off with some religious thoughts? What's the meaning behind those religious thoughts? And she said very clearly, Jesus talks to me. Jesus talks to me in a way that she was having somatic preoccupations, that her body is possessed by Jesus, and he talks to her in her ears and commanding her, again I'm using the psychiatric parlance here, commanding her to do things. She used to have premonitions about the future and some bad dreams as well. And each of those dreams would somehow change into a premonition, and she would sometimes get scared. She had no knowledge about why she was going through this. She had gone to her church and got no information. So I tried to apply the principles of Vedanta, the ancient spiritual science from India, which is the basis of Hinduism as a religion, and try and make some sort of a connection. What if just Jesus is actually trying to you? So Jesus is nothing but universal knowledge, energy, consciousness, and you are also Jesus.
Yes, to hear that from a psychiatrist is just music to my ears, because that was the thing that I kind of realised. It's like when patients are saying, I am Jesus, it's because we are. We all are. We're all just universal consciousness.
Yeah.
So how did you treat her differently?
She was shocked to talk like that.
The doctor's gone crazy.
Yeah, effectively. And I didn't have a medical student or a resident sitting with me that day. I remember that day. And she felt in a safe space to be talking about such experiences and being heard. I think the crucial piece was being heard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a completely good ending. And maybe that's the word of caution I need to just exercise a little bit for us to just say, just talking about spirituality doesn't cure someone. She had started to have a particular hallucinatory concept of a particular person who she believed gave her information. It was not just Jesus alone, there was another person who was somehow close to the divine, but she found him to be distinct. And because she had talked to me about it, next time when she came to me in a few weeks' time, she was upset. She was upset because she felt, because she had disclosed her innermost thoughts, this person had let go of her. She was not having those premonitions anymore and those special experiences that she described. And she wanted me to strangely increase her antipsychotic medication. And I found myself dumbfounded. Then I felt maybe there's a reason for it. When people have been in the system for so long, that they've forgotten the real nature of these experiences. And when they come to talk of it and they go away, they feel strangely drugged up. They want that drugged up feeling to be coming back. So high doses of antipsychotics, that's what she wanted me to give. I had no option but to work with her. She's on it now. But so she's okay. She's okay with it.
And that's the key, isn't it? It's listening to where the person's at and what they need at the time, and empowering them to make the decisions themselves. Do you think that person that she identified with was a disassociated part of herself, maybe?
Wonderful concept, Katie. And I know that also brings into the idea of the fact that a little bit of our ego is to be maintained if you have to be living in this society. Living as people who have to perform our duties and our responsibilities towards friends and family. How can we do that if we become completely egoless? Literally, we will become mad. Because we have to make that distinction, that sliver of ego is needed to make me feel different from you and me. But that spiritual aspect is what allows us to get the connection. So don't lose that spiritual connection, but keep that materialistic connection to such a point where you can function. I think that's where spiritual awareness would be really very helpful. And what the psychiatry need to learn, that we acknowledge these special experiences as something above and beyond the usual. So every patient with depression, mania, or schizophrenia coming into a clinic, some of them might need treatment. Some of them might be ready to let go of preconceived ideas, both by therapists and by our patients. To say, I have a deeper meaning because of my awareness. This is just the people who are coming to us. Sure, there are lots of people out there who do not feel ready to even come to mental health.
Absolutely, and that's the part, the aim of the campaign is to normalise these experiences in society in general, so that more people can have a framework to understand what's happening to them when they do wake up, so people can have a more kind of positive emergence process. And perhaps like your experience when your wife validated you and said it's okay, you're going through something really normal, because we know more and more people are waking up. And something that we've spoken about is the need for an integrated approach, so that psychiatry needs to acknowledge us as mind, body and spirit. And kind of obviously there are still psychological trauma that people need help with and need to work through. And I know you're thinking of devising something called cognitive spiritual therapy.
Yes, and it has to come to that extent. And interesting, I just did a quick Google search to find out, is there something like that? I'm talking about spirituality work, but I'm using the heart and the mind together. Has anybody else tried that out in some extent or not? And I found some Christian-based belief systems out there, but no way is there in regular parlance usage of the word cognitive spiritual therapy. So I vision something, and this is just a part of the bigger vision, a vision that we can develop a framework in which a person realizes that the spiritual aspect has a deeper meaning, a deeper potential, and we allow that to blossom or unfold to a point that they don't feel scared of any experience, be it day-to-day living or the spiritual awakening process. So that would be a nice way of framing it. For me personally, Vedanta has stood out as an information which has been given 7,000 years ago, but not just one enlightened person. Hundreds of rishis and learned sages who effectively downloaded this information from the Supreme Consciousness. And each one was described in such beautiful Sanskrit shlokas or verses, and they make sense now if we are ready. So the crucial part is we have to be ready to take on this information and apply it. Spirituality is a deep science which, when applied slowly and you allow that unfoldment process to begin, you make sense of everything.
The thing I love as well is you have a vision of the science, don't you? Is the research side, so setting up a consciousness research centre, which is really exciting. Would you mind?
Yes, of course. It's a vision, and with the grace of the self, if that has to happen, it will happen. If not in this lifetime, maybe in the next one. It's a budding idea. Just for the past few months, I've been very lucky to be working with a few people who have been awakened within the city of London, Ontario. Not London, England just yet. I'm coming to England.
Yes.
That we make a difference. We make a difference to understand how consciousness really works within the framework that we have so far. So I'm looking at ways of neuroimaging of the brain, looking at cognitive frameworks, on different types of meditation, but the meditation that's really helping me grow personally, and have seen changes in more than 95 patients who've done a big trial of a category of meditation called automatic self-transcending meditation. Let me explain, that's a big word. Automatic self-transcending. So automatically, you're transcending the layers of our body, which you can't actually see, to a level of being the self, which is existence, consciousness, bliss. automatically. So you just sit, be yourself, and let the self grow through you, and let all the stress get away from your body, and you get to a higher state of consciousness in which you completely relax. 95 patients have gone through it. Late life depression, mild to moderate grade of depression. 50% of our patients do not have any symptoms of depression anymore, compared to only 9% who are waiting to get this treatment. Everybody got this treatment anyway. So I want to find out what changes did it make to the body? Across the whole body system, on the heart, on the brain, on the inflammatory system. That's just one study. There could be hundreds of other ideas which are brimming around, and I'm going to try and find, sane-minded people who want to do that work. And it's interesting, psychologists, psychotherapists, mathematicians, neuroimaging work, statisticians, they are all coming without making any major effort, because who am I to make any effort? It's his effort that's happening. And we're writing another grant now.
Amazing.
So let's see what happens.
This is so needed. I'm so grateful for the work you're doing. It's kind of been my dream for a few years now to meet a psychiatrist like yourself who's awakened and kind of so keen on bringing this into the mainstream. So I really appreciate you listening, and I know you say it's not you, but you're listening. And
now I want to try and avoid the word wherever ego comes in, that how can we be the person or the people who are in this path as well, to think we can make a difference. Yes, we might be the chosen ones if you want to consider, but even the fact that you consider ourselves chosen, that's the speaking.
Yeah, we're just a vehicle, right? A pocket for the universe.
Yep, I consider this body, mind, and intellect only as an equipment, as a vehicle, as a car, which the divine is controlling. We are doing nothing.
Yeah, if we allow it.
If we allow it. Yeah, we are our own stumbling blocks at times.
Just before we finish, I'd really love you to share with the audience, because I think people will be excited by this. I've kind of really sensed that Canada is quite forward thinking in this, and the experience I've had of you're presenting at your hospital and the clinicians there, that there's some desire for this to happen and be integrated into the mainstream, and you're thinking about starting up a group for people who identify with spiritual emergence.
So thank you, Katie, for coming over. I would like to thank you at this juncture to make that big
courage. It's been amazing.
Courage to just jump over the pond and be with us at London, Ontario, where we had a wonderful 2 days of meetings, conferences, talking to people across various walks of life. And it became quite obvious that there are so many people with lived experience and spiritual awakening who felt that nobody was listening to them. They need a safe place, and that's what we will start with. Besides the research that we do, we start with a group of people having an opportunity to talk themselves, and clinicians just take a back seat and let them free, let them have that space to speak, and give them validation of what they're going through is perfectly fine. It's amazing. I've found my nurses who I knew were having, a bit of touch with the Supreme Self, just have tears of gratitude, being given that opportunity to even consider them. Yeah. We'll make that happen. That's my pledge to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really lovely to be with you, and I'm looking forward to today and sharing more and seeing where the future will take us. Yes. We've been talking about writing a book together this morning, so who knows? But I know people will be excited by what you said, and so just on behalf of everybody, I'd like to thank you for your work. And
let's put ISIN on the map. Let's put all psychiatry and spirituality on the map together across the world as we know it.
Yeah, here's to that. Thank you.
Oh.